Hey there, and welcome back to Utility Sports. If you do enjoy our NBA content, please subscribe and leave a comment on this video if you enjoyed what you saw today. We are doing the 2020-2021 NBA award predictions, and we're going to be first starting off with Executive of the Year. Travis Schlenk from the Atlanta Hawks, who's the president of basketball operations, has done a really nice job in the turnover of the Atlanta Hawks basketball team. And for him personally, this offseason, it's been a good one. They added a Konwu, they added Bogdanovich, they added Danilo Gallinari, they added Rondo and Chris Dunn. So they've had a really big offseason in terms of turning over the roster and potentially being a playoff team in the Eastern Conference. So really good job by the Hawks. And honestly, he's done a phenomenal job. And if they're able to get up to any as high as like the fifth or sixth seed, I think he could win this award potentially.
Yeah, and jumping into who I chose Rob Pelinka as my executive of the year. I think this is going to be one of the more popular selections. I think these are kind of the top two candidates that we're really looking at. And for Pelinka, obviously coming off of a championship, it's rare to see an executive of the year be chosen after winning a championship the following year. But you're looking at a president who made moves as the GM there. To really improve a team that just won the championship. He went out, used the mid-level exception on Montrezl Harrell, was able to acquire 28-year-old Dennis Schroeder, giving up 33-year-old Danny Green and a draft pick, something that a team coming off a championship really doesn't get the opportunity to bring in a player of that quality. And then he's also brought in some other key veterans like Marc Gasol and a few others. And you're really looking at a team that's going to be improved, fits better around LeBron, fits better around Anthony Davis long-term. And I think he should get a lot of credit for that.
So for our next one, we have Coach of the Year, and I'm going personally with Steve Nash. Obviously, he's going to have Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving, and a pretty good and talented core outside of those guys. You have Karis LeVert, Jarrett Allen, Spencer Dinwiddie. So I really like his chances. He's going to be a rookie head coach, and if they're successful in the East, like they probably will be, they very well could be a top 3 seed. I see him winning Coach of the Year from that standpoint.
Yeah, I definitely think the Brooklyn Nets are going to be a really fun team to watch with Steve Nash there as the first-year head coach. But for myself, I chose head coach Nick Nurse of the Toronto Raptors. For the last year and a half now, I have felt he's the best coach in the NBA. I think he switches defensive schemes up more than any other coach in the league. He's comfortable doing zone, box and one, man-to-man, and even triangle and two here and there. Really good combination of full-court presses. I think the media is going to see it this year. Obviously, they had lost Serge Ibaka. They also lost Marc Gasol. But you're going to be looking at him overcoming that and really taking that team to places that people really aren't expecting. I think that's why he's going to get some consideration as Coach of the Year.
Now, for our 6 minute of the year, I think it was very close between these two players. Jordan Clarkson obviously was rewarded with an extension this offseason. He's going to be a key part of that Jazz second unit. And honestly, I think it's very well that he could win the 6 minute of the year. A little bit of voter fatigue from Lou Williams. Obviously, he didn't win it last year because of that voter fatigue. Montrezl Harrell won it, and a lot of Montrezl Harrell's success was predicated off of Lou Williams. But Jordan Clarkson, to me, is a great candidate. He can really score the basketball and, might be able to average 20 points a game this year.
Yeah, Clarkson definitely coming off of what was his career year, and I think he's really going to build off of that, so I really like that selection. And like you had said, that was kind of the two players that came down for me as well. But looking at Lou Williams, the player I went with, obviously has won this award multiple times in the past, and I think this year he's going to be given the opportunity again to be the front runner for it. He still had a really productive year last year. And looking at the other LA team, I was just a little nervous about Schroeder. I don't know if he's going to start yet or not. Looking at Montrezl Harrell, too, I think his numbers are going to go down a little bit based on who's around him and kind of the way that LeBron and Anthony Davis are going to function. I don't know if Montrezl really fits into the end of the game role that he did with the Los Angeles Clippers. So you're looking now at, I think, those two not really necessarily being lead dogs anymore. So that's why it came down to these two for me, and I went with Lou.
Now we have most improved player, and Lugens Dort is definitely going to be a guy who is considered for this. We saw him in the playoffs last year. He did a pretty good job overall. He's going to have an increased role in the offense. He's a good defender. So, and the big part of this for me is the media loves him. They really respect his game. So with the increased role, media attention, that's all the makings of a most improved player.
Yeah, right. You're looking at Lou Dort on a team that, is not going to really have a lot of players to take minutes away from him. And that's why I ended up going with Chris Boucher. I had mentioned earlier Marc Gasol and Serge Ibaka's departures from the Toronto Raptors. And Boucher is a player I've loved for a while now. He won a G League MVP a few years ago. And I think he's a player that fits perfectly into that Nick Nurse system. I think he's the exact combination of Gasol and Ibaka. He gives him some of that shooting presence. He's got length. He's an athletic defender. And I really think that under Nick Nurse, I think he's really got a chance to emerge as that most improved player. Also, a really close player I considered was Christian Wood. I think in that pick and roll offense with James Harden under head coach Steven Silas, I think that's going to be a perfect pairing. Now, is James Harden going to be around the whole season? I don't know. That's why I ended up going with Boucher. I really, really think that he's going to be productive there, and I think he's going to be a key part of that Toronto Raptors team in the front court alongside Aaron Baines and Pascal Siakam long term. So that's why I went with him. But Christian Wood was an honorable mention for me in that one.
So for Defensive Player of the Year, obviously Rudy Gobert is a phenomenal shot blocker and great rim protector around the rim. And I think a little bit of the voter fatigue wears off considering he didn't win it last year. And then I think it kind of, pushes him as the favorite for me, just considering that he didn't win it last year. He's going to have the numbers to back it up. And once again, a lot of media credibility for him. So that's a really big reason why. I do understand the Anthony Davis pick, though, considering, he is very, very beloved by the media. But I think Rudy Gobert is going to have really great numbers from a defensive standpoint, and that's why he gets the edge for me.
Right, yeah, looking at this, I think this is one of the hardest to actually project. You're looking at the Stifle Tower, who I think is the best defensive player in the league when it comes to protecting the rim, especially as a post player. I don't think he's obviously the best perimeter defender. I would go with Kawhi Leonard, who would have gotten consideration, but I think he'll rest some games this year. I think that'll kind of hurt his voting odds here. And I went with Anthony Davis because the media loves him. I think that's a big part of it. You look at who votes, they like him. Also, I consider Joel Embiid. He's a beast, and I think the Sixers are going to be a team that defensively is really stout this year. But ultimately, I went with AD because I think the voters are going to lean that way. Even Giannis, it's hard to leave Giannis off this list. We have quite a few versatile defenders that are quite athletic and really good rim protectors, but I opted to go with AD in a close race.
Now we have Rookie of the Year, and mine's going to be LaMelo Ball. He's going to be handed the keys of the offense. He's gonna average a ton of assists per game. He could be top 10 in the league when the year's all said and done. Obviously the best passer in the entire draft class. Phenomenal player. He's listed at 6'8", and like I said, he's going to have the keys. He's going to have every opportunity to even try to score and get better at scoring. He's obviously going to create for others, and I really like LaMelo Ball considering what's around him. He's going to have Gordon Hayward with him. He's going to have Devontae Graham, Terry Rozier. Obviously not great players, but they're going to really, really lean on him to be that vocal presence, that the main guy for Charlotte. So that's why I went with LaMelo.
Yeah, I really like that selection too, based on his pairing now with Gordon Hayward, and he's going to be a highlight reel passing the ball. He's going to be a fun player to watch. I'm really looking forward to that. I opted to go with Anthony Edwards because I think he's going to fill up the stat sheet a bit. I see him as a guy who's going to average probably 17 to 18 points a night, a player that's going to be capable of grabbing 5 or 6 rebounds a night and probably fill in 2 assists a game. I really like the acquisition of Ricky Rubio there for the Wolves. You kind of give him that, ball handling, playmaking point guard that he'll play alongside half the time. And then also alongside D'Angelo Russell, kind of take some of that pressure off of him, puts him in an easier role to score the ball. And I think just quite frankly, he's going to have a pretty good statistical season. I also really like Denny Avdia, but the acquisition of Russell Westbrook kind of makes it harder to see his pathway to Rookie of the Year this year, although I think he's has a higher ceiling, in my opinion, moving forward. But for the Rookie of the Year here, I will go Anthony Edwards.
Now, finally, the biggest award of them all is obviously going to be MVP. A lot of consideration to Giannis. Obviously, he's going to fill up the stat sheet, but I think Luka Doncic, with a little bit of voter fatigue for Giannis, I think he's going to win this award. Obviously, he's going to average, well over 25 likely. He's one of the best passers in the NBA. He's going to be, probably top 5 in assists, and he also grabs rebounds on top of it. Competitive defender, and obviously just keeps getting better as he adds more to his bag. So, arguably one of the most dangerous offensive players in the league, especially, for creating others and then also scoring the basketball for himself when he needs to. Luka's my pick.
Right, and MVP is all about momentum too. I ended up going with Luka Doncic as well, and my reasoning partially is based on the voter fatigue, like you had mentioned, for Giannis, but he also plays the first 3 games of the year against the Phoenix Suns in Phoenix, the Los Angeles Lakers on Christmas in LA, and then the Los Angeles Clippers a couple nights after. And you're looking at a team that's going to be without Kristaps Porzingis. And if he can go into those places and get a few wins against really quality teams, that'll really start out that momentum well for him, especially without the presence of his co-superstar there. And you're going to look at Luka Doncic probably being the front runner after that point if he puts up some monster performances. And 16 of their first 25 games of the year are on the road. So you're going to look at him if he can carry them through that stretch. He's going to have an easier back half of the season to kind of coast through a little bit and kind of maintain that MVP. And you're looking at a guy who's going to be a consistent triple-double threat. And I think the Mavs are going to be a team that takes a massive step forward. I kind of see them as a 4 or 5 seed. Obviously, we're a 7 seed last year, and I think if they get a healthy Kristaps back a month or two into the season, you're looking at the Mavericks being a really scary combination led by obviously Luka Doncic. And I think that in a lot of people's eyes, he should be considered the MVP front runner as well. And at this point, that will conclude our video. We just want to thank everyone again for sticking through to this point and watching the video. We really do appreciate your support. We're just about to hit 800 subscribers. So if you haven't already, click the subscribe button, hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on any utility sports content, and we'll catch you in the next video.